If you didn't watch CKLV, you missed out on some major wrestling action. There were some huge upsets, a few dark horses really made a statement, and some new title contenders burst onto the scene. The reason I love the CKLV tournament is because it's really the first tournament of the year where we really get to learn a lot about some of these freshmen, some of these wrestlers who have changed weights, and we get a glimpse at who might be the breakout stars of the year. Because most of November we have to speculate based off their performances in opens and some smaller duels versus fringe national qualifiers. But at CKLV, we really get to learn what they look like versus the best competition in the country. And let me tell you, we learned quite a bit. And the first thing we learned is that the 125-pound weight class has gotten even muddier. On one hand, you have Matt Ramos, who now has 4 losses on the year, and I think you have to start getting a little bit worried about his performance. If he loses once, no big deal. Even twice, maybe the sky isn't falling. And he actually followed up those losses with a nice win over Anthony Noto. But now that he has 4 losses on the year, you really have to start to question if he's regressed from that 2023 national tournament. Then on the other hand, you have Nico Provo of Stanford, who won this tournament and had a pretty tough path to do it. He had to beat Kyson Terrakina, Matt Ramos, Jory Volk, and Brett Unger. That is quite the gauntlet. Anybody who wins CKLV is a likely All-American and potentially a title contender. Now, I'm not ready to throw Nico Provo yet as a title contender, as I'd like to see him consistently maintain this level of performance. I don't want this to be a flash in the pan where he just gets hot on the right weekend. But to beat those 4 guys back to back to back to back really shows that Nico Provo is the real deal. And while I'm not ready to dub Nico Provo a title contender, I am ready to dub Jesse Mendez as a title contender at 141 pounds. He had to beat the likes of Vince Cornella, Brock Hardy, and Ryan Jack. And it's not just who he beat, but it's how he beat them. He tech-falled Vince Cornella 18-1. Vince Cornella is a blood round All-American kind of guy. I would not be shocked to see him on the podium. He also majored Brock Hardy, who is already a title contender. And then he beat Ryan Jack in the finals 5-2. That was Jesse Mendez's first regular decision match on the year. And with Real Woods and Bo Bartlett wrestling some pretty close matches and almost losing a few, if the tournament happened today, I would be very tempted to pick Jesse Mendez to win it. Now remember, this is year 2 on the college scene for Jesse Mendez. He wrestled last year as a true freshman, and a lot of wrestlers take a huge jump in performance in that second year, and I think we're seeing that with Jesse Mendez here. And the last thing I want to say about 141 pounds is Anthony Echemendia of Iowa State. He looked really good versus Real Woods, wrestled him really close, which left us wondering about his potential to be an All-American and maybe a title contender. And at this tournament, I think we saw his liability on bottom is going to be a real issue. Now, don't get me wrong, he is very dynamic on his feet. He's really going to be able to push every single wrestler and probably get some upsets along the way. But in order to string together 3 and 4 top 20 ranked wins, you're going to have to be able to get off bottom. In both of his matches that he lost, he could not escape. So right now, I'm not sure he's ready to end up on that podium in March. The other thing I'm not sure about is why you wouldn't hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I'm gonna need your help to get there. Every video, I get 6,000 and 7,000 returning viewers. So there's thousands of you who have watched multiple of my videos and have yet to hit the subscribe button. So help me get to my goal of 5,000 subscribers. Hit that subscribe button. Ridge Lovett won this tournament at 149 pounds and beat Caleb Henson in the finals. But honestly, if they were to wrestle again, I think I'd have to go with Caleb Henson. But what this tournament has showed me is there's 3 title contenders here at 149 pounds. Ridge Lovett, Caleb Henson, and Shane Van Ness. There's a lot to unpack at 157 pounds, but most notably, Meyer Shapiro had a somewhat of a underwhelming performance. Now, I don't think anyone expected him to go undefeated and be the next Kel Sanderson win 4 titles, because college wrestling is darn difficult. There's a reason that Kel Sanderson is the only one to have ever done that. But due to these 2 losses, I think you have to pump the brakes a little bit on those expectations for Meyer Shapiro. In my opinion, he got the legs really quick, but he had a hard time finishing, especially in those 2 matches that he lost. So with more mat time on the college scene, he's going to be more efficient at finishing, and at that point, I think we see him take that next step. And the other notable story at 157 pounds is Peyton Robb of Nebraska. Last March, he had a disease, which I don't know any other way to say it, but a flesh or skin-eating disease. Looks like he's made a full recovery and is 100% good enough to win a loaded bracket at CKLV. I mean, I don't know how you do not cheer for this guy. He is a tough wrestler, super tough on top, got some great wins along the way to win this tournament. The obvious biggest upset of the tournament was David Carr losing to Julian Ramirez. And this match was interesting to me because David Carr is normally so efficient in finishing his shots. He got to Julian Ramirez's legs many times, but he just couldn't finish the takedown and got taken down because he lost a scramble. Now, I still like David Carr to make the finals opposite Keegan O'Toole, but this loss has given me a little bit of pause on my prediction that David Carr is going to win a national title and beat Keegan O'Toole. I'm still going to be cheering for him, but that's something I'm going to be watching for throughout the rest of the season. And what a heck of a performance by Isaac Olnick of Oklahoma State. He was at Northern Illinois last year, and he really wasn't supposed to make the All-American podium. He did. He placed 8th. He's transferred to Oklahoma State, and based on this performance, has taken a huge jump in his skill level. He beat Cam Amin and then beat Julian Ramirez in the finals. So he's looking to make some noise in his senior year at Oklahoma State, and it looks like he's on the right path to do that. At 174 pounds, Cade DeVos was one of those dark horse guys that really made a statement at this tournament, beating Carson Archla and Travis Wicklate to win this bracket. And Damian Hahn is building quite the program up there at South Dakota State. Now, unfortunately, we didn't get to see all their guys at this tournament, but between Cade DeVos, Tanner Sloan, Clay Carlson, and Bennett Berge, this team could make a little bit of noise at the national tournament. And the one thing I want to say about 184 pounds is if every wrestler wrestled like Parker Keckeisen, the fandom of the sport would just shoot through the roof.
You see what I did there?
He is just non-stop relentless. I was watching his match versus Lenny Pinto, who's pretty darn powerful, by the way. But Lenny got the takedown in the first 30 seconds of their match, and I just thought to myself, good luck trying to stop Parker Keckeisen for the next 6.5 minutes. And he just shot, and he shot, and he shot, and ultimately got a few takedowns and won that match. At 184 pounds, the national tournament finals, Parker Keckeisen versus Bernie Truax, I really don't think there's anyone who can kind of stop that from happening at this point. And there's probably nobody that can beat Aaron Brooks, but if there is somebody, it's probably Trent Hidley. He looked pretty darn powerful, pretty dang good up at 197 pounds, won this tournament in pretty convincing fashion. Nick Feldman's another freshman where we're still trying to collect data, and based off this tournament, tough wrestler, but right now, round of 16, round of 12 guy, outside looking in at that podium right now. And then younger Bastida, what a beast. If you can do this.
Period. Oh, nice little, wow. Oh my gosh, look at this carry. He's in the air looking for.
To a guy that weighs 240 pounds, you are just a different breed. Younger Bastida has passed every test up to this point in this season. I'm going to keep watching to see maybe he is another title contender to compete with Greg Kurtvliet and Wyatt Hendrickson at 285 pounds. Oh yeah, and subscribe.